Nice, everyone. I'm going to talk about van-based franchising. Is that why everyone's here? Yeah, because that woman just wandered off because she didn't want to talk about van-based franchising. Excellent, wonderful. Before I tell you who I am, can I have a hands up for who's interested in being a franchisee? And a hands up for who's a franchisor or being a franchisor? So about half and half. Okay, that's cool. So we'll just cover off both. That's fine. It's not a problem. It's always interesting to meet other franchisors as well. So, oh, hello. No, okay, this is going to be fun. Let's try that one. There we go. That works. So who am I? My name is Ben Brooks. I'm the managing director of a company called Agency Express. I've worked in franchising now for about 14, 15 years. I've actually lost track. There we go. It's gone. There we go, we're back. 14, 15 years. I've actually lost track of how long it's been. It's a fantastic world to work in. So, well done for coming along today, because for a lot of people who've never experienced self-employment or running a franchise or group, this is a great way to get started. I've recruited successfully over 200 franchisees into our franchise network over the last 14 years. And each one of those franchisees had a completely different journey with us, normally with a working TV screen. There we go. I was also the regional chair for the BFA up until the end of last year. So hopefully I can talk to you with a bit of authority about what franchising is, but specifically about what the benefits of van-based franchising is. And for those of you who don't know, van-based franchising is mobile franchising. So you're working from your vehicle on a daily basis. It's also known as owner-operator franchising. Generally, that means you work from home, but we'll cover onto that in a minute. So that's who I am. Who are Agency Express? We put up boards for estate agents. So can I sit there? Come on, really come. There you go. That's how we get people in. Agency Express put up boards for estate agents. So we have 117 franchisees around the UK erecting and servicing boards on a daily basis on behalf of estate agency customers. The 7,500 estate agents that we work for around the UK, and they all make daily requests for boards to go up outside people's properties. That's about 125,000 visits to properties around the UK every single month, either erecting a board, so putting up a for sale board like we've done here, changing the slip status, so from for sale to sold, or retrieving the board when it is completed. And each one of those visits we make is a chargeable event. We've been doing what we do for actually 24 years now. We're coming up to our 25th anniversary, and we do service over 60% of the UK's estate agency marketplace. I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about van-based franchising and what that means. So this is what we're going to cover off today. I've got about half an hour. I've got about half an hour. I'm just going to talk. You'd have to listen to me. I've got about half an hour to talk about franchising, and specifically van-based franchising. So we're going to cover off what van-based franchising is. We're going to talk about what the main advantages are, and we'll talk about the advantages of franchising as well. There's a couple of spots down the front, guys. And then we're going to talk about who it's for, so the kind of people that we look for when we're recruiting new franchisees, and then hopefully offer a bit of advice about how to select the right van-based business for you. So, you guys are all here and you know loads about franchising. We covered off who was looking for a franchise. Has anyone been looking for a franchise for more than a year? Or looking into becoming a franchisor for more than a year? Less? Yeah, everyone's really vocal. Don't speak too loud, guys. You're going to put me off. That's great. So franchising journey takes time. Okay, so but the first thing you need to understand is that franchising does work. Okay, so here are some of the main benefits of franchising in general, the reasons why people would get involved with a franchisor and start their own business. First of all, you're buying into a proven business model. Now, hopefully you should know this by now. That's kind of a key point about franchising. You are investing into an existing business or an existing business model which already works. And this is why 8 out of 10 franchisees are still trading after 5 years, and why 2 out of every 3 standalone businesses have failed after that period of time. That's because someone else has made the mistakes before you. So when you come along to start your business, whether it's putting up estate agency boards, making coffee, or opening a McDonald's, someone else has made those mistakes on your behalf. You're buying into a reputable brand. With Agency Express, when the screen works, there you go. Oh no, it's gone again. With Agency Express, when we walk through the door to talk to an estate agent, they already know who we are. So we walk through the door and we say, hi, I'm from Agency Express. And they say, the board guys. That's what you're investing into. If I walk through the door and say, hi, I'm Ben from Ben's Boards, they'd say, who the hell's that? Okay, and that reputable brand is a huge part of what you're going to invest into as part of a franchise. You are also investing into a support structure, a team of people who are there to help you. Everyone needs help. Everyone's going to have different experiences of business that they've worked in before. Some of our franchisees that come to us are brilliant at sales, but they don't know the pointy end of the drill. Some of them are fantastic at the hands-on stuff, but they don't know how to speak to people, and so we're here to help them to do that. And we have different support teams to help you with different elements of what you do. So if you're looking at starting a van-based franchise, make sure that the support network is there. The existing franchisor has teams of people to help you with every element of the business. You are going to be investing into a brand, and that brand needs to continue to grow. So you're going to help that brand to grow by doing the work on the ground in your local area for your local franchise, but you need to make sure that the franchisor is continuing to grow as well. And that ongoing brand development is a really important part of what makes franchising brilliant. One of the things that we started doing last year that we'd never done before is we involved ourselves with a key safe company. So we erect boards for estate agents, and we thought it was a really good logical step to erect key safes onto people's homes as well. So now we offer a key safe service to those same estate agents and companies around the UK. And that's something that we did for our franchisees. So they now make extra revenue stream out of the key safe companies that we work with. So franchising is great because there's going to be ongoing brand development as well. Training forms a huge part of what makes franchising awesome. You are going to have an initial training course from your franchisor when you start. That training is going to be ongoing as well. Now, that might be virtual training done through web services these days. It may be local training with a regional meeting or a regional development manager, or it might be coming back to the head office. But it's really important that training is continual and ongoing, that you're benefiting from that franchisor imparting continual wisdom and ongoing training. Think about that initial training course like passing your driving test. It's like doing an intensive driving course. You're going to learn how to pass your test. That's enough to get you going. And that ongoing training is all of that experience you're going to build up in the local area with your franchisor. And finally, the economies of scale element. This is different for different companies, but I always use McDonald's as a good example because people understand that one. Do we think McDonald's buy their buns from the Tesco's next door? You are allowed to talk. No, excellent, thank you, good. Do they buy them from a really, really big company who makes loads and loads and loads of buns because they can drive the price down? Yes, good, excellent, everyone is still awake. The reason they do that is because they can pass that saving on to their franchisees. So when that unity of brand, they're getting the same product, but also because that economies of scale is then passed down to the franchise network. So you're buying them from a lot less than if you went next door and bought your buns from Tesco. So that's some of the main benefits of franchising in general, but I'm hoping you guys already knew that because that's why you're here. Is this going to work? Yeah, it's working, fantastic. No, it's not. It's a voyage of discovery. Give it a minute. What are the main benefits of van-based franchising specifically? Well, let's just cover off what van-based franchising is. Oh, there we go, we're back. Van-based franchising is this. You're working from a van. This is Paul, isn't he handsome? Paul is actually a real board erector. Yeah, he is actually putting up this board. This is a picture we took when we were out in the field. Van-based franchising means you spend the vast majority of your time operating from a van on a daily basis. There's lots of different van-based franchise companies out there, but they all share the same main benefits, which we're going to cover off here as we go through. So what's the main difference between van-based franchising and, let's say, fast food franchising? It's premises. We don't have a premises. We work from home. We are home-based franchisees. No premises means no premises cost. That's the big difference. So when you're going out to set up your McDonald's franchise or your Domino's Pizza franchise, whatever it may be, the first thing you're going to do, once you've gone through your due diligence process, is think about where it's going to be, the location. Which shop front are you going to go and invest into? Then you're going to have the fit out of that shop, and you're going to have to put all the stuff in it that it needs, like ovens and counters and all those other kinds of bits and pieces. And then you're going to have to fill it with staff who are then going to run the business for you whilst you're there. And that is all hugely expensive. The lovely, oh, this guy's nodding off down here. You all right? Do you want a Red Bull? No, you're okay. I haven't got one. Right, so saving all of that cost, all of those premises expenses is huge. That means there's more profit for each franchisee within the franchise network. Don't fall into the trap of believing that premises-based franchises are more profitable. That's not necessarily the case, okay? So reducing your overheads by not having premises is a good thing. Does everyone understand what work from home is? Yeah, did everyone understand what the pandemic was? God, you're all up sick. Yeah, we've all worked at home. Cool, right. Did you enjoy working from home? If the answer is yes, then van-based franchising might work for you. If you hated it, like I did, it's probably not. Okay, I hated it. Noisy children, animals, anyway. But if you enjoy working from home, it could work for you. The vast majority of our franchisees spend about 15-20% of their time working from home and then 80-85% of their time out on the road in their vehicles. So, no premises means low overheads. It also generally means lower initial investment. All of that stuff that you've got to pay for to invest into that business, into that shop front, that all costs money and you're going to be paying for that. Okay? So that's another additional cost for you to bear in mind. The franchise fee that you're going to pay to your franchisor is usually lower as well. And that's because the franchisor usually has less elements to be involved with in that initial process. And that's going to come on to my next step in a minute. But because that investment is lower, it gives you more working capital to work with the business, and it also means more people who perhaps couldn't have considered being self-employed or involved in franchising can consider it. The vast majority of good franchises out there can fund up to 70% of the initial investment of their business. So for Agency Express, our initial investment is $24,500, so you can fund about 18 grand of that. You don't have to have a huge amount of money in your pocket to consider being self-employed. It makes a big difference. Van-based franchising, it's generally easier to run as well. There we go. It's generally easier to run. It's a more linear process method. So what the guy in the van does, the owner, the operator of the business, generally is a fairly straightforward process. It doesn't mean it's easy in terms of the outcome of what you actually have to do, but in terms of the process of running the business, generally there's less elements involved. You're generally not going to start with staff. You're not going to start with premises. You're not going to start with large amounts of product. Tends to be a more family-friendly working environment. We have franchisees who work around things like school runs. We have franchisees who work around things like golf days. I don't know if that counts as family-friendly. They seem to think it does. But it's important because that work-life balance that everyone's trying to achieve now, especially I think after the experiences we all had in the last couple of years, more people are looking for a better balance between their working time and their home time. And running a van-based business, having the ability to manage your day-to-day, it does mean that your work-life balance will be considerably better. I'll give you a simple example. If you run a fantastic cafe that does a wonderful breakfast, there is no point saying, well, I'm not really a morning person, I'm going to get up and do it at 11. Because everyone's already had breakfast, right? It's pretty simple. You can't change your working hours if that shopfront has to open at 9 in the morning. Being a van-based franchise, often you can. I mean, speak to your specific franchisor about how it works with them, but more often than not, you have more control over how that day-to-day process is going to work. All right. What about the bad stuff? Bad stuff. Well, a lot of these disadvantages aren't really disadvantages, they're just things you need to be aware of. First and foremost, with any franchise, van-based or otherwise, there is a system to follow, okay? Great analogy I can give here. Do you all watch Strictly Come Dancing? No. Does anyone watch Strictly Come Dancing? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Are you anyone awake? No. Okay. Strictly Come Dancing, what happens? A professional takes a celebrity under their wing and they teach them how to dance, right? They'll teach them a process, a system. They will follow the professional to learn how to dance. And by the end of it, the duckling is turned into a swan. And they're a beautiful dancer and they do the final show and everyone claps. And normally they have an affair and other things. With franchising, apart from the affair, it's a very similar process, okay? So we are going to teach you how to be a successful business owner by following a system. If you think, does anyone in here think the next Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, that guy over there is? Okay, it's not for you. It's not, so you can go. In all seriousness, if you want to do things your way, franchising isn't for you, because it's about following a method, following a system. Okay, if you can do that, it's not really a disadvantage because we're actually going to show you how to be successful. But for some people who want to go off in the corner and do their own thing, that's absolutely fine. Please just don't do it on my time. Okay. There is going to be a financial investment. It is going to cost you some money. That's an initial investment, and that is an ongoing investment. Don't believe that franchise fee is the only thing you're going to have to spend. That's what's getting you into that brand at the starting point. There are going to be running costs for that business, and usually in the early period, your franchisor will talk to you about what working capital you're going to need to get that business up and running. And that's the same with van-based franchising as it is with any other type of franchising. But the ongoing costs are generally lower with van-based systems than they are with premises-based systems. There is going to be some personal investment, and that personal investment, I'm talking about not money, I'm talking about blood, sweat, tears, pain, yeah? Okay, don't believe that running a business is easy. It's not. You will work harder, self-employed, than you will employed, because no one else is going to do it for you, all right? You're going to be working hard, but you receive the benefit for that. The harder you work, the more benefit you receive. And I think with most employed positions, that's not what happens. The harder you work, generally you receive exactly the same, and that's why people get so jaded with being in a standard employed position, right? You are going to have to commit to a term. A term is the length of the franchise agreement. So the franchise agreement is going to have a period. I'm just checking the clock. I tend to talk a bit too much. The franchise agreement is going to have a period, and that term is normally either 5 years, 10 years, or 25 years. So make sure you know how long you're committing to with that franchisor. Okay, with Agency Express, it's 10 years. Doesn't mean you can't extract yourself from the franchise agreement within that period. Normally there are ways to do that. It's normally through the sale of the business, but you are committing to a period. So make sure that you're comfortable with that and you understand how long that period is going to be. And finally, most importantly, it is not an excuse not to work. If you want to sit at home and polish your computer, if you want to get your files in nice, neat order and you think, yeah, this looks great now, please don't waste my time, because people like that are not meant to be business owners. If you throw the duvet off in the morning and think, do you know what, I'm going to get stuck in today, then you're my kind of person. That's all you need to run a franchise, is that commitment, okay? The rest of it, you're going to be trained in. All right, so who's it for? All of you guys. That's why you're all here, right? Well, apart from the guys who are in a franchise, their own businesses, perhaps not there. Who's it for? People who've just come out of an employed position who works very well. So people who are first-time self-employed. If you are a serial entrepreneur, personally, I would say van-based franchising isn't necessarily the right thing for you, but certainly speak to your franchisor or your chosen brand and talk to them about it. It works very well with people who are coming out of an employed environment where they're used to working to a process, a system, a method, but they want to be self-employed. So similarities of employment, but with the benefits of self-employment. The way I can define that is you're going to be working in your business, not on your business. It's majoritively not a management-based position, a management franchise. You're going to be working in your business, using your hands, whatever the outcome of the business is with us, putting up boards for estate agents. It is hands-on. You are also going to be customer-focused. So that means you're going to be speaking to actual customers. If you're the kind of person who can't do that without insulting them, then it's probably not for you. You'd be surprised how many people can't do that. Okay. With our guys, they're out on the streets or where they're speaking to vendors, speaking to customers, speaking to estate agents. They need to be able to do that with a smile on their face all the time. And if you can't, then obviously it's probably not for you. And finally, of course, as we've already covered, you need to be ready to follow that system. You're not going to go off into the corner and do your own little dance. You're going to use us as your Strictly Come Dancing professional and then show you the best way to run that business. What makes a good van-based franchise? There you go, TV screens at work. What makes a good van-based franchise? So you now understand what van-based franchising is, what the advantages of van-based franchising are, what the disadvantages of van-based franchising are. But what should you actually look for if you're considering becoming a van-based franchisee? And you want to go off and speak to a franchisor and understand the kind of things that they need to display to you. So these are just very quick bullet points. The first of all is a proven business history. This is the same for any franchise. They should be able to prove to you that that business model works. It's not just about having a nice shiny brochure and having a lovely stand and lots of people floating around giving out bits and pieces. It's about having a documented business history that they can show you. Now, sometimes that will have been a pilot operation, so they'll come up with an idea, set up a business, and that's what's known as a pilot, and you may want to look at the books for the pilot operation. Sometimes it will be an existing business which is very successfully trading, and then they decided to franchise it. Either way is absolutely fine, but as long as there is a proven business history before. Coupled with that point, I would say if you're going to be franchisee number 1, or even if you're going to be franchisee number 10 or less, you want to make sure you're being extra careful with that brand, okay? That's a much, much bigger risk than being franchisee number 250, because lots of people, hours and hours and years of time, have gone before you to make sure you don't make those mistakes. If you're franchisee number 1, you are a test bed, and you need to be comfortable with that. There should be documented systems and controls in place for that franchise brand. What do I mean by documented systems? The franchise manual. Does everyone understand what a franchise manual is? It's what's going to tell you how to run your business. All right? Now, the franchise manual traditionally was a physical book, like a massive binder with lots of information in it. And a lot of franchisors will still provide you with a physical manual, and that's fine. Sometimes it will now be online, and sometimes it'll be a blend of the two. As long as you've got access to that, and I would actually say ask if you can see it before you join the franchise. Okay, they won't send you a copy of it. It's part of the intellectual property of what you're investing into, but they should let you have a look at it, okay? Make sure it's there, make sure it's documented, make sure it's nice and clear. There should be effective training in place. We talked about this briefly already, initial and ongoing training, and make sure you know what that training looks like, what it includes, and make sure you compare it against other brands of a similar nature. So if you've got 2 coffee-based franchises and you're interested in one and the other, make sure you compare what kind of training and service and support they're going to offer to you, because that's the best way for you to know how they stack up against each other in the franchise community. Make sure you've got security of tenure. What that means is that they can't turf you out just because they feel like it at any point within the franchise agreement. Okay, that agreement is going to be for a period of time. You're committing to that period of time to the franchisor, and you have to make sure that they are committing to you in an equal way. Okay, so they're going to be working with you for that period to make your business as successful as possible. And finally, personally, I would say you want to look for someone who's a BFA member. The British Franchise Association is the kite mark of quality in the UK. So the British Franchise Association's website will give you a list of every single brand that is a BFA member. And if they're not, the first question to ask them is why not? There's going to be a reason. It's not a hugely expensive or complicated process to go through, but there may be a reason they've chosen not to be a BFA member. You're going to want to know what that is. Okay, how do you then select the right one for you? How do you select the right brand? Well, you don't need to, guys. I'm right here. I'll just give you a business card and come and see me afterwards. There we go. So first of all, investment levels. That's the most important thing. You need to think about how much money you got. There's no point going into a shop and saying, yes, I definitely want a Ferrari, when you've only got £10 and a bag of Quavers in your pocket. It's pointless, right? It's no different with franchising. The first thing you need to do is consider what we call investment levels. How much money do you have available to invest into the business? And then how much could you possibly finance? If you want an idea of how much you could finance connected to your business that you might be interested in, speak to the franchisor, because they will already have those connections with the relevant financial institutions to help you with that process. All right, you can go to the bank directly. The three main franchising banks in the UK are HSBC, NatWest, and Lloyds, not necessarily in that order. And I would recommend you speak to, if you bank with one of those three guys, whoever you bank with currently, because that's a good place to start. Okay, so consider how much money you've got to invest, consider how much money you can borrow. Then you need to look at suitability. Now, this is how much money the business is going to generate for you, and if that matches your lifestyle. Now, you might think, I really want to be a dog washer. Dog washing franchise, that's the one for me. I like dogs, I like washing, it's good. But if the dog washing franchise only generates 15 grand a year in terms of net profit, and you've got expensive tastes, you like hummus and nuts, things like that, it's not going to work, right? Because it's not going to generate enough money for you to run the business that you want to run. So consider what the income is. That works both ways though, and if, for example, you decide I'm going to be a diner or a franchisee, they make millions of pounds, they make 200 grand a year, it's fantastic, going to make so much money, but you don't really want to put your hand down someone's toilet, it's not going to work for you. You've got to consider both what the business does, what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis, and what the financial rewards are going to be like for you at the end of the process. Next, you're going to start researching. You're already here today, fantastic, well done. Presuming you're all in the right show. Come on in, guys. Presuming you're all in the right show. It's not the coffee shop. Fan-based franchising. Presuming you are here today, that's because you are interested in researching franchising. That is a fantastic place to start. Speak to people. We are British. We don't like talking to people, do we? No. Yes, we do. Good. Excellent. Right. Go and talk to franchisors. We are not going to bite you. We're not going to do horrible things. We're not going to try and sell you stuff. We're just going to talk to you about what we do, okay? The more information you have, the more powerful your position is when you come to make a decision whether it's right for you or not. Also, go and see discovery days with relevant franchisors you might be interested in. Magazines are great. Web portals are brilliant. Make sure you contact the BFA as well. They have a franchisee course which you can go through, which teaches you about the important things to look for as a franchisee. Okay, so you've done your research. You then need to seek advice from people who know what they're talking about. You might look at this thing and go, yeah, dog washing, that's for me. Yeah, brilliant, excellent, good, lots of money, can't wait. You pass it on to your accountant and he goes, you have enough, aren't you? Can't make any money doing that. Accountants, solicitors, they're there to help you. They are expensive, yes. They're not free, believe me. But they are there to give you professional, impartial advice on the relevant things that you're looking into. So if you're considering a specific brand, don't be afraid to put their franchise agreement in front of a solicitor, and there are lots of franchising-based solicitors around the UK. And equally, don't be afraid to speak to the BFA, as they have a lot of experience there too. Finally, make sure you're speaking to your franchise peers. So this is other franchisees within that franchise network. They're the guys who are going to have the on-the-ground knowledge, the experience. They're going to give you the warts and all feel for what that business is like to be a part of. So don't be afraid to do that. Next, you're going to then whittle it down to a handful of brands that you like the look of. You're then going to compare them. The best thing to do here is to use a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets. I like data, okay? So you're going to put a spreadsheet together of the good bits and the bad bits, and the reasons why you might want to choose that brand over another brand. And you're going to start to whittle that down from maybe 4 or 5 to 2 or 3, and then finally you're going to get down to hopefully one which is offering you everything you want. The the financial rewards, the lifestyle that you choose, the brand, the ethos, and everything else that goes with it. And then the final point is only make sure you proceed if you are 100% sure it is right for you. There is no such thing as a business opportunity that was too good to pass up because you weren't ready. The worst horror stories I ever hear from people who are self-employed or franchising is when they say, oh, I just felt pressured to make a decision right then and there. They said there was someone else interested in it. If they're telling you there's someone else interested in it, that's great. That means that brand has value. But you don't know they're telling the truth. Yeah, it's like used car salesmen. Be sensible about it. Take your time. And if it's right for you, then the right outcome will be presented to you at the end of the process. So that's what you need to look for. But more importantly, you should come and see Agency Express. We're brilliant. We're at the front. Got loads of lights, shiny brochures. It's fantastic. Well, joking aside, if you are considering van-based franchising, do come and see us. We are the UK's largest sailboard service provider. We are one of the longest standing van-based businesses in the UK. All of our customers are daily repeat customers, so we're not constantly looking for new business. They use us every single day. Every one of those 7,500 estate agents will make additional requests every single day, which goes through to our franchisees. We are industry leading in the software and the services that we provide to our customers. Unlike this TV screen, there we go. Industry leading in the software we provide to our customers, and we work with 9 out of 10 of all of the UK national estate agents. So those large corporate companies that you see on the ground, the vast majority of those guys are already contracted to us, and you'll receive that work on day one. That equates to a 60% market share across the UK. So when you drive home tonight or catch the train home or wherever you're getting back, have a look down that road and count how many sailboards you see on the way back. 60% of those were put up by us, and every single one of them is a chargeable event. That's how we make money every time we visit one of those properties. We also have some excellent resale opportunities at the moment. So we've been trading obviously for a long time, as I said. So existing franchisees who are looking to move on from Agency Express and retire or move on to another business opportunity, they are existing profitable businesses which you could become a part of. And that's something that doesn't get talked about in franchising enough. Investing into an existing franchise that isn't starting from scratch on day one. You're buying an existing business with existing client base, turnover, profit, etc. Yes, it will cost you more money, but often the benefit of having that income straight away is enough for people to want to invest a little bit more. Right, I'm out of breath. I'm bored of this TV screen. I'm going to attack it now with a sledgehammer. Hopefully you found that useful. It's a whistle-stop tour of what van-based franchising is. I've got about 30 seconds left on the clock. It's almost like I've done this before. Does anyone have any questions? Please.
If I took out a franchisee, I could franchisee for you or the company, and within the first 3 or 4 weeks, I just can't do it. I can't hammer a board in, for example. I'm not competent enough to do it. What happens to the £24,500 I spent?
It's a good question. So what happens if you decide in the early stages that it's not right for you? Well, the truth is, if you've got to the point where you're investing and you're ready to invest into a franchise, that shouldn't happen. If it does happen, well, we'll come on to what happens if it does happen in a second. But if you've got to that stage, you should have been to see the franchisor. You've spent lots of time with him or her. You spent lots of time with that support team, so you've got to know who they are. You've hopefully gone to a discovery day, or what we would call a ride-along. So you spent some time with an existing franchisee or with head office team, so you can see what it's like on the ground, the day-to-day processes of the business. You're going to be given a lot of time to make this decision. In all of the time I've done what I do, I can honestly say I've never had someone who's come to me after 3 weeks and said, I can't do this. I've had people who've come to me after 3 months and said, I can't do this. But it shouldn't happen that quick. So what happens if you decide after an early period of time that it's not for you? Yeah, the business isn't right for you. It happens from time to time. To be honest, the more common thing that happens is something external interrupts it. So the bereavement of a family member, the change in financial status, that kind of thing, and that can happen. The franchisor is going to work with you at how you resolve that problem. Be under no illusion you have committed to a period of time. So if you've said to that franchisor for their 5 or 10 year franchise agreement that you've committed to that, they're going to expect you to honour it in exactly the same way that they will honour their commitments on their end of that page. But it's a human business. We're all human beings, right? So I've never had someone where I sat down and they go, right, well, that's what it says on a piece of paper, so kind of go away. You're going to sit down and say, right, okay, well, let's talk about this and see if we can work it out. So the outcome is going to depend on what the situation is with the individual, but most of the time the franchisor is going to then help to enable you to exit the franchise business as quickly as you can, and normally that will be through the sale. The sale of a business does take time, so it's not going to happen immediately, but through the sale of it, you would then be able to recover the funds that you've invested into the business, or hopefully most of it anyway. Anyone got any other questions they want to ask? No. That's brilliant. So I'll see you all at the stand in 5 minutes. I'll line the franchise agreements up.